we have another guest today, James Bracken. James Bracken is an online coaching consultant. And who are you and what do you do, James?
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm grateful to be here. I'm James Bracken. I have a coaching business. I host the You Can Too podcast. I mainly help entrepreneurs really take more action towards their goals so they can step out of their job that they're in so they can pursue their passions. That's genuinely what I do.
That's good. That's good. And how did you get into all these endeavors?
Yeah, man. There's a lot of different points in my life where it kind of maneuvered me down this path. But so I'll give you a brief overview. So 12th grade year, COVID was going on. I was in school, had a couple classes, decided that I really didn't feel aligned with going to college. So I thought that my route was going to be becoming a real estate agent. 17 years old, I was with a team in my state, was the youngest person with Keller Williams, was all in on real estate. A couple weeks before I had the opportunity to actually take the test and become an agent, I decided that it didn't really feel aligned with me. So some people would say I failed and I gave up, but what I see it as I pivoted. So I had the opportunity to invest into a coaching program, did that at 17 years old, invested a whole lot more than I had, and been doing it ever since, man.
Experience, can you tell us that you learned from all that?
Yeah, I think the power of investing in yourself, kind of like putting your back against the wall is the way I like to see it, is a really, really powerful thing that you can do. There's a quote that I've been really paying attention to recently, and it's that those that pay attention. And so investing in myself was the one thing that I needed. I had all of the things. I had all the information. I knew what I needed to do, but taking action on it was the thing that really terrified me. And so investing in myself forced me to make it happen. So I think that's a big lesson I've learned for sure.
That's good because, you took that action and you were one of those people that decided that college wasn't the route. For some people, it doesn't work. Some people, it does work, because especially with this society after 2020, we don't realize that your job is secure, your college is secure, with all this money and stuff because of epidemic and inflation. So everything in life isn't secure. Everything is a risk. That's how I believe it. And that, that risk will either take you somewhere or either it may not do well, but you learn from actually trying. It goes back to what you said, you tried. So, just to add on to what you were saying there. What inspired you to start a podcast?
Actually kind of leads into a big reason I started the podcast, started my brand, started the coaching, really everything. It was more of a question. And the question was, at the end of my life, will I regret not doing this? And my answer was yes, like 1,000%. I would regret not going all in on the podcast, not going all in on the coaching. And I lost my father and uncle both at 37 years old. And then I lost my grandfather at 66. Now, losing my father, uncle at 37, it really helped me realize how short our time is. I mean, they passed when I was young, so I really didn't internalize that fact. But when my grandfather passed was when I really did, because he worked his entire life. And the year he was going to retire really put him in a position. He passed away for the year he was going to retire, and it put me in a position to realize that, man, I don't want to live my whole life not to be able to spend time with my family, not being able to impact other people, and not really feel enthusiastic when I wake up every day. And every single day I wake up to coach and to go on the podcast, and I've never been more fulfilled in my life. So I think that's a real big impact on it for sure.
May they rest in peace. How did you feel? I know you just explained it, but how did you feel about all this? How did it really change your landscape of life or help you improve in life?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that it also comes back to, I think that the questions we ask ourselves determine the answers we get in our life, and then in turn, the results that we get in life, the experience that we have. And I think my entire life, I felt like life was happening to me, because losing a lot of people young, just, really feeling like it was just piling one after another, just trying to push me down. And that was the mindset that I had, because I had no justification or no real reason to understand why it was happening. And so when I got into personal development, started my coaching business, and really started to dive into, accepting things as they are and being able to change what I can change, I've realized instead of asking why is this happening to me, I would ask myself, how is this happening for me? And that subtle shift changed everything, because it made me realize that not only are obstacles there to help me, but they're there to support me and help me find the way that I'm supposed to go. Obstacles the Way is a great book just to recommend to your audience as well.
How you said, why did it happen to me? Instead, you should say, why did it happen for me? It referenced back to me in my life, as a Christian, that God allows things to happen for a reason, to test us, to see what we're doing. I liked what you said there, man, because it really impacted and amplified my thoughts and my perspective about life as a Christian, for me personally. So I know you already answered this, but as part of the script, what inspired you to start the coaching program and to start doing social media content?
Yeah, I think they're a lot intertwined. To be completely honest, when I invested into the coaching program that I joined, it was from a podcaster that I really looked up to, and in the process, it was simply this: I had the opportunity to hop on a sales call. Essentially, is what it was to get into the program. At that time, I was so deeply invested in this idea of building a podcast, this idea of helping other people, and that was just my only intention. And so investing into that, what I didn't even really, it wasn't even I didn't even comprehend that I was going to have to start posting content. It was just like, you know what I want to do? I want to help people. And so I made the investment. And so that was literally it, man. It was just like taking the action to do it. And then everything else built on top of that. I was never someone that posted content online. I was never someone that really expressed who I was. And so bringing that to the world and realizing that the ideology that we are one of one, and that if we don't give everything that we are to the world, we're doing a disservice, is what my first mentor would tell me. So I think that had a real big impact, but it wasn't really my intention, to be completely honest, but it just kind of happened.
That was a calling, you know. That was just a calling in your life. What have you learned from your experience of podcasting?
Man, there's so much I've learned from podcasting. I think that the one main thing I've learned from podcasting is that consistency is truly, it compounds, man. I think that's a really subtle realization. There's so much I've learned from the people I've had on the pod, and like just having people that are in a much bigger position than I am, multi-million dollar exits. They've written books. They've done a bunch of different things. But I think that what I've learned the most is that consistency compounds. If you're able to perfect the art of just showing up, the results are going to compound on top of that. So I think that's something that I've definitely learned for sure.
What advice can you give to somebody who's looking forward to doing a podcast?
I would say get started. I know a lot of people that say the same thing. They want to, and I commend you for even starting this and what you got going right now, man. Like, a lot of people say they want to do something and they don't do it. So I would say just get started. Sign up for Anchor. Like, it's so simple. Get a Riverside thing going. It's like it is as simple as it can be, but people try to overcomplicate it to keep our goals at arm's length away. It's a big thing I help my clients with. It's like we always try to find a way to overcomplicate it so we don't have to step into that next version or all the thing it's going to take to actually make it happen. There's a lot more than a lot of people think, and I know that you know that as well. So I'd say just get started.
Yeah, and another thing too, like you say, it's simple, and then as you get into it, there will be some hardships. Like when you first start your podcast or YouTube channel or anything like that, it's going to be like poor quality, all that. But once you get to it, you're going to start doing higher quality, so it can get a little bit hard at times. But for the average person, they'll say, "Oh, it's hard." But when you think about it, just to add on what you're saying there, people are already looking at the person doing what they're doing in their final product or in their future years instead of looking at what they started from and then get there. Because at the end of the day, if you want to be successful, you're not going to start off good. Everybody, there's no excuse. Everybody started off bad to get where they get to good in their careers, rather if it was basketball, rather if it's like content creation. Maybe for me, I'll even say for myself, my videos were terrible 3 years ago when I first started in 2020. Compared to now, is way better. Even my audio episodes, way better with some sound, bringing some more vibe or vibrant noises to it, something like that. So, you just got to start from the bottom to get to the top. That's how it always is with anything. You always start from the bottom to get to the top. Just to add on to what you were saying there.
Started my podcast in my car with no mic. I started in 30-degree weather, and because I was starting in my car with no mic, I had to have my car off because if I had the heat on, it would be too loud for the podcast. So I started my car with multiple episodes, no video, no mic, literally sitting in my car with a script on my computer, or on my phone actually, and recording on my computer. And that's how I started a podcast. I'm top 1.5% in the world now. So, I mean, you just got to start, and it's going to build from there. It's crazy, but like I said, you just have to start.
Yeah. What experiences have you learned from doing your coaching consulting program?
Yeah, I think a big part that I've learned from working with people and even working with coaches myself is that the power of accountability is truly, truly insane. Like if people are willing to step into accountability, it will change their life genuinely. And when I say accountability, I mean working directly. Like for me, I work one-on-one with my clients. I usually invest in one-on-one coaches. I've invested in courses as well, but I like one-on-one because I find it as there's one person dedicated to helping you specifically with where you want to go and helping you get there every single week. And so if you have the fortitude to understand that failure is going to happen, that there's going to be a lot of obstacles in the way, but realizing, like you said earlier in this podcast, that what I like to believe is that the biggest failure is failing to try. And if you have an idea of what you want to do, if you have that calling inside of you that you want to do something more, then don't let yourself settle for something less or let yourself stand in your own way by overcomplicating things and staying where you are. And so I think that coaching, what I found is that it's the fastest way to expedite the process from where you are to where you want to go.
Yeah, yeah. And what advice do you want to give to anybody who wants to start an online consulting business?
Yeah, I would say don't do it alone. If you have the opportunity to invest into whether it's a one-on-one coach or a course or whatever that is, I found that hiring people that are past the problem that you're currently facing is, again, the fastest way to expedite the process. What I've learned from, and this is why I'm so invested in coaching, is that from losing family members young, I've realized how important time is, right? I've really internalized the fact that our time is finite. Money isn't. Money is always going to come back to us if we have that money mindset, but money's not finite. It's being printed every single day. Our time goes by every single day. And so if you can hire someone to shorten the time period from where you are to where you want to go and help you overcome the mental blocks or the time that it's going to take, whatever that comes down to, why wouldn't you? And I have a client testimonial that I'm editing right now, and in that we were talking about it, and he would just say, like, well, why wouldn't you? Like, it's mind-boggling to realize that people like really want to spend more time doing it on their own than to hire someone to shorten the process. So I would say don't do it alone, for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Online consulting awesome. Stressful?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I think that entrepreneurship in general can be stressful. I think that anything in life is stressful, but it depends on the mindset that you bring into it. If you have expectations around what it's supposed to be, it's going to be stressful. If you release your expectations and accept things as they are and change what you can change, focus on the things that you can do. I think they say that like entrepreneurs will give up working 8 hours for someone else to work 24 hours for themselves, it feels like. And I think it's meant for specific kind of people. So for me, I would trade a lot of hours and stress to work for myself than to work less hours and less stress for someone else, because like you said earlier in this podcast, like it's working for someone else isn't always secure. And so I think that, like I said, I think the stress is very contextual to each person's mindset. Yeah.
And also with your consulting business, is online consulting worth an investment or to at least try on?
Do you mean for me to invest into it, or what do you mean by that?
No, I'm talking about like the general audience watching this, they're interested to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the online coaching space, coaching, consulting, whatever it may be, I think that in general, it's something to explore. I mean, if you want to expand out of what you're currently doing or what you're currently interested in, if you're interested in something outside of it and there's probably a coach for that thing, why wouldn't you expedite the process?
What do you want your legacy to be?
To be completely honest, man, I've thought about that. And the way that I like to think about it, I don't know if you're into Stoic philosophy or anything in that capacity, but I don't even really think about my legacy, to be completely honest. And I think the reason I don't really think about it is when you really think about a legacy in general, right? A legacy is something that's going to be here for hundreds of years, let's just say. But when you really think about it, like let's say Kanye, for example, he's had a massive impact on our generation, but I bet you in 200 years, no one's going to know who Kanye is. And so if we focus on legacy and we think about like, oh, I want to leave this legacy, we place a lot more pressure on ourselves to live up to this idea that we have to become. And I think that living integrity and living intentional about what we want to do while we're here instead of focusing on what's going to happen after we're here, I think we're going to have a lot more enjoyable life. And in the process, we'll probably leave a bigger legacy without intentionally trying to. If that makes sense.
Interesting. And audiences, if you're watching this, if you're a long time listener, you know too that some of my guests, they always say, well, gosh, I don't think about my legacy like that. God, you guys got to think about your legacy. Like, audience, you, me, we all got to think about our legacy because, we got to make sure we leave something great as we die. Especially as a Christian, we got to make sure that we leave that legacy for Jesus Christ once we're dead.
I think that leaving a legacy it's a noble thing to think about for sure. And I think that it's right for some people. It's not right for other people. And I don't want to say I completely disregard the fact that I do want to leave an impact on the world for sure, but I don't think I look at it as like I'm trying to leave a legacy. I think that what I'm trying to do is live up to the best version of myself. And in the process of doing that, I will impact a lot of other people. So I think that my legacy, if I were to break it down, is to help as many people let go of the belief that they can't do something and take action on the life that they deserve. That's what I guess I could say my legacy would be.
Thank you for coming on this show. Thank you for explaining everything that you explained about consulting, podcasting, and just learning how to try. Because the real thing I learned out of all this was just learning how to try. So I really enjoyed this interview. Thank you, James, for coming on the show once again. And you're welcome for the opportunity. And have a good day.